over the last 3 months while Bitcoin dropped over 30% that there was one token that's increased over 100%. And it has nothing to do with Bitcoin, and it has nothing to do with the broader crypto landscape, and everything to do with what's happening with real utility behind the scenes. And so much drama has been going on this week with Jane Street, with Bitcoin's price, with the State of the Union, with the Senate Banking Committee meeting. No one has seen the trifecta, the hat trick, the massive amount of news that has come out for my second favorite coin, and that is CC or Canton Network. We have partnerships with Chainlink, Zebec, new information coming out with the Fed, new listings on Robinhood and crypto.com, on top of additional listings with SBI in Japan, all coming out this week. And we are going to cover all of it. We haven't had a chance to talk about it because so much has been going on with Bitcoin and Jane Street and everything else that's been going on this week, that everything going on with Canton Network has been silently flying under the radar. So we're going to cover everything today. Keep everything going in the chat. I appreciate everyone taking your time to be here. We will do a live Q&A once we get through all of the rest of the information. We will cover price and do all the things we normally do in the stream, but I want to give Canton its special attention because it deserves it given this week. So Bitcoin down to 65,000 again. We discussed this over the week. I was expecting a pullback and a retest of 60,000, especially once we called this bounce off 70,000 pretty much perfectly cleanly a couple days ago, right before the State of the Union address. So that being said, Bitcoin is down, but while Bitcoin is down, some things are up, as they tend to be, right? So right now, today, Zero, HBAR, Quant, and Optimism are up a little bit. Optimism has been taking a beating, though. But if we look at the month, nothing is doing well this month as of right now. For the week, though, we do have a little bit of victory with Canton, Zero, MNT, HBAR. There's a few, but everyone's been taking a beating. So some people are like, well, Bitcoin or CC doesn't follow Bitcoin, you said. Why is it not up today? Well, it's not doing anything today. It's completely break even today while Bitcoin's taking a dump. I mean, Bitcoin's down, what, 2-3% today as it stands for the day? Oh, 1.6% it says. So it's definitely not doing well. But Canton Network news, that is what we are here for today. Well, it's officially listed on Robinhood. You can see it here. I actually picked some up so you guys can see it in my portfolio on Robinhood. When we look at the long view portfolio, again, I am here for Canton, XRP, Chainlink, HBAR, and Ondo, as well as my metals, right? Gold, silver, copper, real estate, and treasuries. I collect them all. It's like Pokemon. No, I do think you have to have a nice balance of real world structural infrastructure assets and digital infrastructure assets. It's about building infrastructure over the long view. That is my plan, not financial advice. And as always, nothing in the stream is ever financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. You should always do your own research or consult a financial advisor before making any investments, because as everyone knows by this point, with how red the markets are, you can lose a lot of money. And we don't want to lose money. Losing money is bad. So Canton, right? What do we know about Canton? Well, I'm going to start with the boring stuff first, okay? Canton's industry work group advances cross-border collateral and mobility on Canton. New York, February 24th, digital asset in collaboration with a consortium of leading financial institutions today announced the completion of a fourth set of transactions on Canton. The latest set of transactions showcases continued momentum in cross-border intraday repurchase activity, or repo, across a growing variety of asset classes. Participants included LSEG, Euroclear, Citadel Securities, TradeReb, Societe Generale, Virtue Financial, the Depository Trust, and Clearing Corporation, or DTCC, Digital Asset, Cumberland DRW, Treasury Spring, Archax, and Intellect EU. Digital Asset is the company behind Canton Network, for those of you who may not know. Following the workgroup's third set of transactions conducted in December 2025, which featured cross-border intraday repurchase transactions across multiple asset classes and multiple currencies and leveraged tokenized deposits, this latest milestone demonstrates asset diversification across currency momentum, growing participation. The working group welcomed Archex, a regulated digital asset exchange, broker, and custodian, and deeper involvement in existing members such as Treasury Spring, LSEG, Euroclear, Citadel Securities, and Intellect EU, illustrating continued traction in European markets. So, Europe to United States repo, Canton is leading the way, clear as day. They do $350 billion in repo every day on Canton Network through Broadridge. All right. So this is what's going on as far as institutionally with Canton, the boring stuff. But the fun stuff we need to discuss, Zebec is partnering with Lattice Finance, the first neobank built on Canton Network. This marks Zebec's entry into the Canton ecosystem, bringing real-time payments and card infrastructure to institutional-grade blockchain finance. We are excited to begin actively supporting the next phase of compliant on-chain capital markets. So we have Zebec working through Lattice on Canton, integrating them into the Canton ecosystem. Then we saw this just in: Canton Network adopts Chainlink data and interoperability standards to unlock institutional tokenization. So now we have Chainlink and Canton working together with those major players we were talking about: Citadel Securities, DTCC, all these people working with Canton. Real institutional players, real money, real interoperability partnerships, all on chain. And remember, it was not even in the top 25 as far as market cap 3 months ago. 100% rise over the last 3 months since its announcement that it will be working with the DTCC. Its claim to fame is privacy. The privacy layer that everyone avoided, that's considered, people say is centralized. Well, guess what the money wants? Guess what the big banks want? They want privacy. They're building on Canton. It's clear as day. Associations with JP Morgan and the JP Morgan stablecoin coming on Canton Network. The backing behind digital asset, New York Stock Exchange, DTCC, BlackRock, Citadel Security City. I mean, the amount of money, and you can see it over here, $80 trillion US stock market that's about to come through the Canton Network via Chainlink. So right now we're just working with treasuries and repo on Canton Network, and we got more coming down the pipeline by far. So Canton Network, what can we expect moving forward? I can't see the chat right now. My chat screen is messed up. So hopefully you guys are engaging in the chat. But what can we expect moving forward with Canton Network? Well, when we're looking at the price and we're looking at the market cap, it's currently at 17 cents. If we want to go to the market cap of Canton, market cap's currently ranked 14. Yesterday it was at 16, so it went up 2 spots yesterday. And we are crashing again today, so I would expect that it should climb. Again, I hold quite a bit of Canton. It's probably my second highest holding right now. Full disclosure, I like it. I'm just showing you guys what I do in my spare time. Do your own research. But that being said, it is XRP Community Day, by the way. We do have information. I have more information on here about Canton Network and other things coming down. But it is XRP Community Day today, and we have to talk about XRP. But first and foremost, I announced this already, SBI now working with Canton Network. Again, SBI is a Ripple partner, by the way. SBI VC Trade to be Japan's first exchange to offer Canton Coin, trading on March 25th. So as of March 25th, you can trade Canton Coin with SBI. This was interesting coming from Brad Garlinghouse out of XRP Australia today.
There's not one switch. There's 100 switches. There's 1,000 switches. And it's all of these little switches. 100%. And bit by bit by bit until it really does, I think, have an exponential impact. And I think you're starting to see that. It's taken a little longer in some cases. But on the other hand, we've made so much progress. And you're seeing more and more of these little switches flip. And it's the reason why I have so much optimism about both 2026 and certainly beyond. And look, part of that truly is you all are one of those flip switches. Like seeing the passion in Australia, seeing the passion, we're on a kind of world tour right now. And like, it's awesome. And each of these individual things and the advocacy and clarifying and debunking the the FUD and the misinformation, like it's all part of the number of switches that are being flipped. And I think at some point you're going to feel like, oh my gosh, the switch did get flipped. But it wasn't one. It was the culmination of a decade of those events.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny. It's funny when we talk about the long view on this channel and talk about what you can build in a decade. You hear Brad Garlinghouse right there saying you're going to look back and be like, oh my God, the switch did get flipped. And we're going to look back and it's going to happen. Even Brad Garlinghouse is saying that we are going to feel a flip the switch kind of moment, but it's just going to be 1,000 switches, not just one. Again, as I announced earlier, now on crypto.com, Canton Network or CC is available for purchase. Again, available for purchase on crypto.com and on Robinhood. Still waiting for it to come to Binance and Coinbase, but we got those first two out of the way as far as major listings. Gary Gensler reportedly apologized to Ripple. Listen to this story from Brad Garlinghouse.
Anyway, he comes up to me and he says sorry. He comes up to me and he's like, "Oh gosh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I was wrong. And you guys have done an incredible job." And it was kind of weird that it had to happen at the White House, but like, I think if we stay the course, we keep doing what we're doing, we keep focusing on utility, I'm incredibly optimistic about the road ahead.
Yeah, what I love about this story is that we took the longer path, but that was the correct.
All right, so stay consistent, stay the path. It will work out in the end. Focus on utility. You hear that from Brad Garlinghouse. This is Yuval Ruz, the CEO of Digital Asset and the co-founder of Canton Network. He says, I love that people are excited, but I'd like to clarify the model. When you hit equilibrium, there are three options. Price stays the same and you remain at the same equilibrium. Price goes up and therefore burn less tokens for the same utility, and therefore you are again below equilibrium. Price goes down and now you burn more tokens for the same utility, and the network goes above equilibrium, aka deflationary. The goal is to keep chasing equilibrium as price goes up, which makes economic sense. Hope this was useful, or hope this was helpful. We're going to do a space soon with Canton Army, and I'm happy to discuss this. So again, as Canton utility increases, more Canton are burned. The tokenomics of Canton are this, and let me try and make sure I explain it clearly, okay? They charge the same price for their fees, regardless, the same US dollar price. So it's pegged to the US dollar. So, but as Canton rises and falls, right, more utility requires more Canton to be burned. Okay, well, as utility ramps up, more Canton is burned, therefore more Canton will be minted. That minting goes to the validators, it goes to the app builders, the app users. It's paid out to the people who actually build and drive utility to the network. So as the chain grows over the next 5 to 10 years, utility grows and the price of the token will continue to increase as utility continues to increase. However, they will mint more to try and bring the price back down. So it'll constantly be this push-pull effect as utility comes on chain. It's supposed to be that way by design. So what is the quote-unquote operable price? We don't know. That's why these are speculative assets. But I look forward to seeing Yuval explain this out. However, we can see what I can see, what I can see. And that is that while Bitcoin is falling, Canton Network is rising. It does not move with the rest of crypto. So I wanted something that is decoupled from Bitcoin that I believe in, and I can see the partnerships and I can see the monetary backing. All of these, all crypto assets that we invest in come with risk. That's why they are risk assets, right? So understanding those risks when we make our investment is important. And that's why I look at Canton in this light. So that's just me. Again, I hold XRP, Canton Network, Chainlink, Ondo, and HBAR. It's about infrastructure for me. It's about building out for the long view over the long term. Continuing on, we have more information. Again, wave of innovation today. Monica Long has been counting down. See you guys there. XRP Australia is going on today. I planned on covering it. I do not have time to cover it today because I have things I have to do this afternoon, so I can't stream for 3 to 4 hours today, unfortunately. Excuse me. So remember when he was explaining this chart just a second ago, when he was talking about this, mind you, this was 8 hours ago. Not too long before that, 17 hours ago, people ask me, where is the price of CC going? I say, I have no clue, but look at this chart. And he shows the burn mint ratio. You're starting to get an idea of what might be coming with Canton Network. Again, not financial advice, but I'm taking a look. Trusted reference data synchronized at the protocol layer. Bloomberg data licensing offers are being developed for on-chain access via Kaiko data on Canton. Major players developing on Canton. Bloomberg and Kaiko data now building on the Canton Network. Every major financial player is circling Canton Network. It's very clear as day when we look at what's actually being built. Now, this was a really, really interesting play about what AI could be. And if you guys have seen The Matrix, you're already going to have an idea of it. And I'm going to come back to this. This is the Flare Network and Xamin wallet. We will cover this. Actually, you know what? Let's do this first, and then we'll deal with the speculation. So that everyone wants one-click DeFi for XRP, myself included. Here's how you get it. Maybe.
For years, earning yield on XRP meant navigating new wallets, bridges, and unfamiliar DeFi tools. With Flare Smart accounts, that experience is changing. Now, you can access DeFi directly from the wallet you already use, Zaman. Inside Zaman, you'll now see access to curated yield opportunities powered by Flare. No new accounts to create, no additional wallets to manage, just XRP. Ready to participate. The dashboard shows everything at a glance. Total value locked, estimated APY, your XRP balance, and your current upshift vault position. To participate, simply enter the amount of XRP you'd like to allocate. In multiples of 10, the X app immediately shows you how much XRP you'll receive in return. Behind the scenes, smart accounts coordinate around everything required to move your assets into DeFi automatically. The deposit process begins with a small network fee transaction. You'll see the familiar Zaman transaction review, with full details and transparent amounts. Before signing anything, slide to accept, and the first step is done. The X app now prepares your main deposit. Next, the actual deposit transaction is presented, sending your XRP to a verified FACET agent on the XRP ledger. Once again, nothing executes without your explicit signature. With your second signature, the deposit is fully underway. No bridging steps, no gas tokens, no protocol switching. From here, Flare Smart accounts handle the full execution lifecycle, minting FXRP, allocating assets into the upshift vault strategy, and deploying capital across DeFi protocols. You can close the X app and come back later. Your deposit is being processed on the Flare network. Once complete, your position appears. Actively earning yield. Rewards are distributed in FXRP, a yield-bearing, verifiably represented form of XRP exposure. When you're ready, withdrawing is just as simple. Tap Withdraw, and your position converts back to XRP through the same seamless flow. After initiating withdrawal, funds are locked for up to 24 hours before the claim becomes available. With Flare Smart accounts, accessing DeFi no longer requires leaving XRPL environments. No new wallets, no bridges, no complexity. Just your XRP account on Zaman, now a gateway to yield.
There you go. And Flare did come out and say that Uphold is next. So right now you can stake on Xamin, and supposedly Uphold is next. This was really interesting. This is, of course, speculation. If you've seen The Matrix, though, you already have an idea of where this is going.
By 2030, almost 80% of people had lost their jobs.
They had no money, no purpose, but they had a lot of time on their hands.
The less people actually did physical work, the more they wanted to appear as if they did.
What if we could use the energy of humans to power the machines that took away their jobs?
Energem solved our need for energy and your need for purpose.
So just in case,
By
you know,
2030,
if AI does take over the world, we've all seen The Matrix. Obviously, this is a spoof, but
For
it's
years,
something to think
earning
about.
yield on XRP meant
Now here's something else for you guys. This is fun.
At the starting of the week, at Summit Talks, you'll hear them speak. It's only Monday.
Get in.
Anyway, so again, CC lists on Robinhood. Now, this is interesting. When we talk about the markets, and again, when we cover crypto, we have to cover the entire economic scope. We have to cover everything that's going on in the world because everything has an impact on the markets. And unfortunately, Bitcoin's not in charge. Bitcoin follows the overall stock market. Well, when the stock market takes a dump, it's usually not because of Bitcoin, okay? What happened today? The latest inflation data comes in hotter than expected. Here's what it means, okay? So the latest inflation data today, PPI data, came in higher than expected, causing some upset in the markets. Advisors paying close attention to what the numbers could mean for the Federal Reserve and potential rate cuts. PPI is an important indicator of inflation. The latest data sparked a slide in key market indices. The producer price index for final demand increased 0.5% in January on a seasonally adjusted basis, the Bureau of Labor statistically said early Friday, topping expectations of a 0.3% increase, and final demand prices increased 0.4% in December and 0.2% in November. Chris Zaccarelli, Chief Investment Officer of Northlight Asset Management, says that PPI doesn't typically get the attention that the CPI or PCE inflation data readings get. The latest data was higher than expected across the board. This morning's higher inflation data is one more thing to worry about within the traditional economic analysis of price stability and full employment, even before investors factor in disruptive potential AI impacts on the economy, he said. So, inflation, bad. Job data, bad. Credit data, bad. Gosh, where was it? We had another private credit bank go poof in Europe last night, tied to Barclays, unfortunately. There's a $2.7 billion oopsie daisies that just disappeared out of private credit. I believe it was MIS. I think it was MIS. Let me take a look real quick. I can Google it. MIS, I believe. MIS Bank? No, that's not it. Not MIS Bank. Europe Bank. Insolvent. Where'd it go? Not SRM. Is it MSI or MIS? I can't remember. MSI maybe? MSI Europe? MSI Global leading brand. Oh, that's not it. I can't remember the name of it, damn it. Company. They were oh gosh. MSI East Europe World Gaming brand. No, it was they do mortgage lending. It's kind of like a Truehold in Europe. That's what it was. Gosh, they did mortgages anyway. Basically, they bellied up on $2.7 billion in private credit debt that's tied to Barclays. That happened the other day, causing a massive disruption as well. I can't find it now. I know the video, but anyway. Here's what's going on with Iran in regards to uncertainty as well. Again, more global economic uncertainty.
And I want to get your take on policy, sir, because Vice President J.D. Vance is quieting concerns of potential war in the Middle East, saying that there's no chance a military strike would result in a years-long war. The U.S. and Iran are set to resume those nuclear talks next week in Vienna. After wrapping up a third round in Geneva yesterday, Democrats now are planning to force a House vote next week on a war powers resolution related to Iran. This bipartisan measure would require congressional approval before further U.S. military action in Iran. Congressman, I know you're the co-sponsor of this measure. What do you want to see here? Do you worry that publicly clipping the wings of a sitting president is giving information and an edge to our adversaries while doing so?
I appreciate actually what Vice President Vance said. I didn't realize he had said that. I had a good relationship with him before he became vice president. I always thought of him as someone who was against intervening and getting in another Middle East war. I hope maybe he'll endorse Thomas Massie and my war powers resolution, because all Thomas Massie and my war powers resolution says is before you put troops on the ground in Iran, before you spend billions of our dollars in another war in the Middle East, how about you come to Congress and ask Congress first? And you know what America first means to me? It means spending money on manufacturing jobs here, on child care here, on health care here, not getting into another war with our troops thousands of miles away in the Middle East.
Now, I wonder, it's hard to know exactly the strategy of a sitting commander-in-chief. I mean, I wonder if the armada in Iran is more about China than it is about Iran. And I know you've thought about this a lot as well, sir, in terms of China and our adversaries. One of the biggest leverage points that this president has, that our wonderful government has, is the flow of oil to China, our number one adversary. Could it be that this armada, and as it is growing, and the closeness and striking distance of Iran, is more about increasing the leverage against China than it is even about Iran? And what do you have to say about that? Because you don't necessarily know the strategy that the president is thinking about all the time when talking just about Iran.
Well, it's true that if you close the Strait of Hormuz, the biggest the loser in that would be China. And it's our fleet that protects that strait and ensures that you have the free flow of oil, not just to the United States, but to China and around the world. But I don't believe that that's why you have our second aircraft carrier there. And there are a lot of people in the administration and close to the administration talking about regime change. If the president really was doing this to make sure oil and trade was free flowing along the seas, I'd have a very different view of it. There's been no indication to me that that's the reason.
Well, he can't give you an indication, because as soon as he gives you an indication, he gives our adversaries an indication, right?
Well, look, but why would the United States also be shouldering that? I mean, what about China stepping up to keep the Strait of Hormuz open and making sure that they have some role? Right now, America is basically the policeman of the world. I appreciate that, but I don't think we need to put even more of our troops, more of our money there. When so many people in this country are struggling, there are not enough jobs for young college graduates.
So it's starting to sound like the whole Iran thing is again a ploy over controlling oil in the Strait of Hormuz, or however you pronounce it. I'm not good at pronunciation of that stuff sometimes, but yeah, it certainly seems like it's working both angles at the very, very least. And it's interesting, after we just had the whole thing with Venezuela, and now we're involved with more energy. Again, this is political tic-tac-toe. This is how the world works. Unfortunately, we don't always like it, but it is how it works. We already covered that. And we were looking up. So we covered all of the information. I will do a recap for anyone who came in late. Real quickly, let's see where we at with the price of XRP. And again, the channel is about more than one asset. We're about XRP, Canton Network, HBAR, Chainlink, Ondo, gold, silver, copper, real estate, and now treasuries, right? It's about building a structure for the long view that can help you get to where you want to go over the next 5 to 10 years. So XRP now down to $1.36, and let's take a moment and talk to the chat. I have not looked at the chat at all. I have not looked at what's going on with the stream, so hopefully there's a good amount of people in here. Hopefully you guys are participating, and it looks so far so good. I can see that the chat has been running, so keep it going. Keep it rolling. We will go as long as the chat stays active. Raul was first in the house today saying good afternoon. George Evans made it in here. Says, howdy, can't wait to get stuck into the news. Okay, let's get the show going, said Raul. Pam Stamper made it in the house today. Quelly was here today. What's going on, you guys? Again, these are the people who are here every single day. I appreciate every single one of you. If I want to gift some crypto for my kids to use / hold in the future over 10 years, what would you suggest? Bitcoin, XRP, Solana? I would suggest like an index style form like I do. Honestly, pick a few that you like and build those over time. That's what I would suggest, right? Because there's going to be more than one winner. And just like I say with protecting our crypto and putting it in cold storage assets, institutional custody, right? Not to put all of our eggs in one basket. And that goes with the investments too. XRP, he going to say. XRP is one of them. I would say all, I would tell you to invest in, if I can't give financial advice or investment advice, but I can tell you what I'm doing. I would do exactly what I'm doing. That's what I would do. Earth Angel, that's a new name. Welcome to the stream. Make sure you hit subscribe, leave a like, let us know where you're from. All new people want to know where you're from. Everyone will run Zebec. You think so? I honestly don't hold any Zebec. I do hold a lot of Canton. No one was buying ZBCN. Now everyone is going to jump on it. Well, no one's buying Canton either, right? Like no one even heard about it 2 months ago, and it's tripled in price, and it's getting all of these listings all over the place now. Like it's only a matter of time before it's too late. I don't know how else to put it. Happy Aloha Friday. Aloha to you, Gunpowder. Welcome, welcome. Do you think XRP will fall even more when they deposit the billion XRP from escrow on 3/1? No, I don't. It hasn't made an impact. That the escrow $1 billion every month has been going on since 2017, and they post a story about it every month, and it never changes anything. It never does. Currently, I have a Tangent wallet for FXRP. I have to purchase a Xamin wallet. Yes. Well, it's not that you purchase a Xamin wallet. It's through your phone, I believe. I believe you can do it through your phone. But yes, right now it only works through Xamin, and then Uphold is next. I don't have a Xamin wallet, so I haven't messed with it yet. But I know a lot of people are interested in how to stake your XRP. There's a video that explains exactly how to do it. I wanted to present it to you. So if you want to earn yield on your XRP, you can do it now through the Xamin wallet. I am not a partner. I get no kickback. That's completely up to you guys. XXRP options are pretty cheap right now. XXRP is pretty cheap right now in general. I was actually thinking about that as this continues. I was gonna, because I have a nice stack of XRP. I have a nice stack of Canton. So I was debating if the next time, instead of actually just buying more XRP, if I just wanted to buy XXRP at the next leg down and catch that wave up, because I do have a decent stash in cold storage and institutional custody. So, if it appreciates to ungodly numbers, I have plenty secured away. I don't have to really worry about it getting delisted or anything like that. I'll still have plenty of XRP, but that's just me. So keep the chat rolling. I'll do a recap for anyone who came in late and get the Canton Network news rolling here for anyone who came in late. I appreciate all of you being here. Again, make sure you hit the like button. If you're new, make sure you hit subscribe. I stream every single day, Monday through Saturday at noon, every single day, unless something comes up. Like we had the Senate meeting yesterday that came up, so I ended up going a little bit earlier, right? So as long as you catch one of them, because we do cover the entire economy, right? Believe it or not, I probably bit off more than I could chew, but I don't feel like you can really talk about crypto without talking about the economy. Truthfully. So let's do a recap for everyone who came in late. We were talking about Canton Network, and holy smokes, has Canton Network had a great week. The only crypto, mind you, that has run up 100% over the last 3 months while everything else is tanking. Up 92%, excuse me. Not quite 100%, but up 92% over the last 3 months while the broader crypto market is tanking. Currently sitting right about 16.9 cents right now. I started buying this back at the beginning of December as soon as I found out that they won the DTCC to begin with. And that was back on December 5th, I think. But this week, on top of that, because it's always nice to diversify away from what's going on with the bigger tokens, right? From Bitcoin, Ethereum, even XRP. That being said, Canton's industry working group advances cross-border collateral mobility on Canton as of February 24th. The industry working group completes its first cross-border intraday repo with tokenized gilts. This is participants included LSEG, Euroclear, Citadel Securities, TradeWeb, Societe Generale. Remember, they have a stable coin on XRP Ledger. Virtue Financial, the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, DTCC, Digital Asset, the company that created Canton Network, Cumberland DRW, Treasury Spring, Archax, and Intellect EU. Again, this is the 4th test they've done. This is, again, Broadridge, the company that does the repo on Canton Network, does about 350 billion a day. And over the last 30 days, tokenization coming on chain, number 1 was Canton Network. Okay, we covered that in the last 2 streams. So, take in, that's just the utility portion of it, mind you. Take in the liquidity portion of it with brand new listings as of yesterday and today. Brand new listings on Robinhood and crypto.com, as well as announcement with SBI Japan that it'll be going live on their exchange come March. So, I mean, this all happened in a matter of a week, ladies and gentlemen. And when we look at what's going on with Yuval, he tells you straight up. People ask me, where is the price of CC going? I say I have no clue, but look at the chart in regards to the burn mint ratio. So again, the more utility that comes on chain, the more utility that is run on Canton, the more that is burned. Therefore, less available tokens, but more are minted. So you can see the burn ratio right here. Now, when we're looking at overall with the Canton Network, again, we have to look at who's backing it. I've already mentioned some major names like Citadel Securities, DTCC, New York Stock Exchange, okay? But Bloomberg and Kaiko now building on the Canton Network. It's very, very clear. JP Morgan putting their stable coin on the Canton Network. When you look at the list of validators, right? It is only like the amount of growth that has happened on this chain over the last 2 months, I cannot ignore. And I just want to make sure that everyone hears about it. Truthfully, that's really what it comes down to. It's not financial advice, but I want someone to say, hey, at least pay attention to this. Go look at it. Go do your own research. I'm not going to tell you to buy it. I will tell you I did. I will tell you I did. I will tell you I bought it because of the amount of adoption, the amount of interoperability, the amount of utility that is actually coming on that chain. It's that simple for me. When you strip away the noise and you look at the numbers, it becomes incredibly easy. Now, am I going to get all these right? No. Am I going to get some of them wrong? Yeah. But right here, I mean, you see it. NASDAQ Exchange, Canton Strategic Holdings, the first publicly traded company to leverage Canton Coin to support the Canton Network's ability to digitize traditional financial markets. Proud to call you NASDAQ listed. This just happened 20 hours ago. Now, again, this was a rebranding of a different company named Theramune, but it is being rebranded under Canton Strategic Holdings, and it is now live on the New York Stock Exchange, or NASDAQ Exchange, excuse me. So it is only evolving out both institutionally, utility, and liquidity. Massive Broadridge report just dropped, 2026 Digital Transformation and Next-Gen Technology Study. Cryptocurrency was really the gateway to more widespread acceptance of tokenization, said Rob Krugman, Broadridge Chief Digital Officer, in Investors are increasingly demanding some exposure to crypto in their portfolios. The firms need to build infrastructure to support it. That's what we're seeing now. Once you have the infrastructure to support crypto, it all grows rapidly from here. This type of confirmation from a systemically important organization like Broadridge that runs their DLT platform on Canton Network technology just gives so much more confidence in where this is all heading. Okay? Banks are telling you. It's all written out there for us to see. We can follow the money. Follow the money. I will say it. The money will win. I don't always like it, but I mean, we've been around the world long enough. Most of us are in our 40s, 50s, okay? It's not necessarily about being bitter or cynical. It's about being real, okay? The money likes to hold on to money. They're not going to let themselves lose, and he who has the gold makes the rules. That is the golden rule that we have to live by, unfortunately. So we position ourselves in the best possible spot we can to do what's best for ourselves and our family and our neighbors, hopefully. That's at least the way I try to live. Not everyone agrees with that. It really ticks off liberals. I'll be honest. Me and my girlfriend have some very good debates. She's very liberal. She's very well, you know, she calls me a liberal. She jokingly calls me a liberal for my beliefs because I am more in the middle, truthfully. But I am not far left by any means. I tend to sit pretty close in the middle, maybe lean a little bit right, just for my beliefs and my economic beliefs and my moral beliefs and all those things. So let's hop back into the chat again here. Still cannot understand how Canton can appreciate if it has unlimited supply. Would it be more like a company doing well and its growl value increasing? So here's how Canton works. So they charge a flat fee in dollars, okay? They charge a flat fee in dollars. We'll just use even numbers. Say they charge $5 for a transaction, okay? That price never changes. It's always $5 a transaction. So as more transactions happen, more Canton is burned. So therefore, the price of Canton becomes more expensive. And then it gets to a point where it becomes deflationary. Then more will be minted. Now, of that minted Canton, it goes to the validators and the developers. It gets deployed into DeFi. It gets deployed into other areas, okay? It gets used again on the network. So as the network grows, more Canton is burned. Again, more is minted, but more is burned. And it's designed to be that way because the blockchain is designed to run at a state of equilibrium. So the price will continue to rise as utility continues to rise, period. Now, again, more minted, but it's still bringing up the price, right? Because the overall utility, okay? So the more utility, the more the price rises. It is literally designed to run that way, period. End of story. That is the only way it increases. And I have the video. I can pull it up real quick because we got time. I have the video. He actually describes it very well. Let me pull it up for you here. I have it directly from the digital asset CEO, Yuval, Mr. Yuval himself. Had a very good explanation of it. Let me find it. This was it. Let me see. This was a long video, but he goes on to explain it. Let me see if I can find the information in here. Are you guys hearing this? Oh no, you're not. Okay, hang on.
But we're on to chalk
Here we go.
Canton, my friend. And so maybe we just kind of start with what we've built off of in terms of the excitement that we heard from Eric and Joris, the CEO of Fairmint, kind of building on Canton. What's the year been like for you as you've been seeing more and more financial giants start to realize what tokenization unlocks and how Canton's helping in that regard?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm just happy that I'm not against an L1 or an L2, and I'll leave that to Ethereum and Base to deal with that fun. But I don't know, Ethereum won against an L2, so I don't know if that's kind of saying what's going to be the winner in that bracket. But good luck to both of them. To your question, I don't think that what we're seeing now is that finally institutions are discovering the opportunity. I think that we need to separate, what you see on crypto Twitter versus what is actually happening behind the scenes. And all I think what you're seeing now is that as a result of the administration and regulators being kind of pro the technology, I think what you're seeing is that institutions are much happier to talk about, you know, what they are doing on chain. That is one element of what you're seeing happening. And then I think the other element that is happening is, they finally, at least from our point of view, have an opportunity to participate on a public permissionless network, but while satisfying some of their requirement, which is, things like privacy and more.
Yeah, and I think one of the things too, I've been watching your tweets as of late, and I think it's been always interesting to kind of dig into how you have a new system built around privacy and tackling the idea of privacy in ways that are different. We'll see how this round goes, but if it is a Canton ETH matchup, Eric on last time was talking about the difference between how ETH's trying to tackle privacy, how Canton has tackled privacy. I think that, fair to say, has been one of the biggest barriers for a lot of institutions to even get into crypto because, they don't want to run afoul of a lot of the laws that banks often have to and have been,
That's no good.
Well, certainly there have been problems around that if you don't follow the rules. And so I guess, how has it been in terms of recently, even with loosening restrictions, that still being kind of one of the barriers to entry that has been there for finance? How have you seen kind of that work to your guys' advantage?
So first of all, I'll start with the stabs. I'm not aware that Ethereum have solved privacy. I know that Ethereum is talking about privacy. There's a lot of talking, but honestly, I'm almost inclined to lose this. So hype goes against Ethereum because my bankless episode was very good, and I don't wanna get to that place and then get slaughtered by them. So, but in all seriousness, I think you said loosening of restrictions. I don't necessarily think that there's necessarily a loosening of restrictions. There haven't been any law change that is saying, hey, now you are allowed to do things that prior were not allowed. And this is kind of what I was trying to say earlier. We've had people building on Canton even prior to the Trump administration. I think that those organizations have been very careful, not necessarily publicizing and screaming out loud what they're doing on blockchain. And it was mainly because there was a posture of the administration, and as a result of that, of the regulators, that you know crypto equals bad, blockchain equals crypto, and therefore blockchain equals bad. And as a result of that, a lot of regulated entities, even though they knew that they were doing things according to the law and they weren't doing anything outside of their restrictions, would get inundated and with so many questions from regulators, it would literally drown them, and it wouldn't be worth almost touching the technology. So we don't see necessarily that any restrictions have been lifted. Again, it's more of the administration and by extension the regulators are telling organizations, use the technology. This is good for the US economy. This is good for US innovation. Please use it. And as a result of that, you're just seeing that a lot of the customers are first being much more open to talk about this publicly. And then second of all, are accelerating things that they have already been working prior to this administration.
Yeah, I guess one thing, maybe to reword it, would be less laws being changed or lifted, because that has certainly, as we watch Genius Act maybe being one win, Clarity Act still kind of TBD. More so just the threat of being sued by the SEC, certainly night and day.
Exactly.
in the way that things have gone. But one thing around, I guess, the tokenomics, that was
Here
one
you
of
go,
the
Quelly.
things that I know, chatting with Eric a couple weeks ago, learning about kind of the burn mint equilibrium. Maybe I shouldn't have gotten ahead of myself in talking about Canton versus Ethereum, since you're right to point out it is hype in Canton that we have in this matchup. And one of those things that you and I were just chatting about before we jumped on, and something Eric stressed as well, is how much of the tokenomics around Canton are different and still kind of, I guess, able to be adjusted. And one of those things is tying tokenomics back to activity on the chain. And if I remember correctly, also this idea of rewarding builders in the Canton ecosystem rather than just validators, something that you were also kind enough to point out before we jumped on, that Hype may have right as well. So talk to me a little bit about the tokenomics and maybe how that could change as more activity comes on to Canton.
Sure. So to me, I think that what the industry have failed to do well, and this is where I can be very complimentary of Hype as part of this discussion, is that I don't think that most chains have done a good job creating a model that actually allowed the chain to get value except from speculation. And even speculation, it's not even the right word, because speculation kind of implies that you're just taking uninformed risk on something that could actually be worth something. You're speculating, oh, I think this is going to be worth something else in the future. And the reality is that a lot of these chains are very different than Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin was created as a store of value. So the value of Bitcoin is determined by, are people willing to assign that value? The problem is that there is no room, in my opinion at least, for 10,000 Bitcoins. There's one Bitcoin, and that's it. And therefore, when you get into like smart contract chains, Ethereum, Solana, Canton, and many more, to me, when you do that, you have to move into a world where the actual financial value that you generate on those networks translates somehow into the value of the token. And I actually think that most L1s have failed to do that. All L1s, really, the mechanics of them are speculative, meaning they kind of like try to mimic Bitcoin, even though, at the end of the day, they're all saying like, hey, we're going to become the next set of financial rails. But when you actually look at the activity that is happening on those chains, there's really nothing that is happening. So like you could take an example, and I will take a step here, of Cardano, for example, where there's really nothing happening on the chain, yet the chain is worth $10 billion. And I just don't understand how you can justify that. That to me makes no, I mean, if Cardano says, listen, let's just drop smart contracts and let's just become a store of value and compete with Bitcoin, I would kind of understand, right? You don't need to actually have activity necessarily on it. It's just people hold it like gold and they just believe that that's a store of value. But when you get into the realm of saying, no, I am going to be the next set of financial rails, you should be valued by, are you actually becoming that, right? And to me, that was like a critical component of when we designed the tokenomics of Canton, that it actually would mimic something like that. So the reason why I am very complimentary of Hype is because they generate revenue, they actually generate value, and no different than any company that does stock buyback, they buy the tokens back, right? That means that the token should be worth more money. If Hype does more revenue, then Hype will buy more token back, and therefore the value of the token should increase in value. That to me is logical, right? And if you then take that by extension, that's how Canton works, but it's not at a discretion of the foundation. It's built into the tokenomics itself. If the network does, sorry.
I guess it's also fair to.
There you go, Quelly. That is the tokenomics explained by Yuval, the CEO of Digital Asset, co-founder of the blockchain. So that's tokenomics of how Canton Network tokenomics work and how they appreciate. Let's get back into the chat here. Getting more CC today on Robinhood, says Raul. Have we talked about Brad speaking on Flip the Switch? I did cover that earlier, but I got it for you here, Pam Stamper. I'll cover it again. Let me get back to my bookmarks. I pulled up that stuff from this morning and tapped onto that after I was discussing. I'm searching for Canton in my bookmarks. That's why I was searching for Yuval. Let me get that out of there. Here it was for you.
There's not one switch. There's 100 switches. There's 1,000 switches. And it's all of these little switches. And bit by bit, until it really does, I think, have an exponential impact. And I think you're starting to see that. It's taken a little longer in some cases. On the other hand, we've made so much progress. And you're seeing more and more of these little switches flip. And it's the reason why I have so much optimism about both 2026 and certainly beyond. And look, part of that truly is you all are one of those flip switches. Like seeing the passion in Australia, seeing the passion, we're on a kind of a world tour right now, and like it's awesome. And each of these individual things and the advocacy and clarifying and debunking the FUD and the misinformation, like it's all part of the number of switches that are being flipped. And I think at some point you're gonna feel like, oh my gosh, the switch did get flipped. But it wasn't one. It was the culmination of a decade of those events.
Absolutely.
There you go. So yeah, culmination of a decade. Again, the long view, right? Again, Canton Coin now trading on crypto.com as well as Robinhood. And this was in regards CEO talking about Gary Gensler, if you missed it.
Anyway, he comes up to me and he says sorry. He comes up to me and he's like, oh gosh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I was wrong. And you guys have done an incredible job. And it was kind of weird that it had to happen at the White House. But like, I think if we stay the course, we keep doing what we're doing, we keep focusing on utility, I'm incredibly optimistic about the road ahead.
Yeah, what I love about this story is that we took the longer path, but that was the correct.
There you go. It doesn't have Rome's not built in a day, ladies and gentlemen. It takes time, it takes consistency, it takes delayed gratification. 10% every month for 10 years of your life, you will get where you want to go. Diversify. I know it's boring, the boring traditional way of investing, but it works. Unfortunately, we would all love to get rich quick. Unfortunately, it does not work that way. Yeshua says, I'm the switch. I already turned the switch on last year. I hope we do. I hope we do. Must have been when I... Hey, it's all good, Pam Stamper. We're just... Maybe we should ask Jake Claver, Abdul, how many switches have been flipped to this point so far, right? That's excellent, excellent question. And I'm glad that helped you out, Quelly. And as you guys can tell, I'm really high on the tokens that I follow. Like, I'm passionate about them. There's a reason I invest in them. There's a reason I research them consistently because I want to know where I'm going. When I'm putting my money into something, I take it very, very seriously. I don't jump in and throw money around like I'm gambling. If I'm going to do that, I'll go play Texas Hold'em at the casino. You know what I'm saying? I'll put $50 on the game, something like that, or I'll do some futures trading. I'll do something like that. But as a matter of fact, I do think I am going to buy some XXRP. I'm waiting to see. Again, I do think Bitcoin still has room to fall. I know for sure we're going, well, I don't want to say I know for sure. I'm very confident it's going to 60K. So I want to see what happens. If it pushes through 60K, if it stays above 60K, regardless. But I have my buy order set for XRP at $1. I picked up some more Canton Network yesterday / this morning. And then I'm also looking at bringing in some more money. I want to get some more money spread out in copper and treasuries. Essentially, I'm going to use treasuries as my cash savings account. I can get into them easily. They're more protected from inflation. I feel better about that being my cash hoard, if you will. So if I need cash, I can just liquidate treasuries. I'm good to go. and they're still gaining, 2-3% a year versus it's sitting there idle losing money. That's just me though, my personal opinion. I don't like cash. You guys know that. If you've been around long enough, around this stream long enough, you know I am not a fan of cash. But down to 26 of us left here. We had 38 at one point. I feel like it was a good stream. I feel like the channel is growing. We have more people coming in. We are exactly at an hour, so it worked out well, and we got through all of the chat. So again, if you're here, make sure you hit the like button for me. Engage in the chat. Leave a comment on the video when it gets into the replay, whatever. Engage, engage, engage. I appreciate all of you for helping the stream grow. Appreciate all of you for taking your time to be here. I should be here tomorrow at noon. If not, it'll be tomorrow evening, all right? But regardless, I will be here tomorrow. I'm planning on noon. If something changes, I'll try to let you guys know. Later.